Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of The Business of YouTube. Today is really special. I know I say it's quite a lot, but we're talking about the event of the year for YouTube. It's not a product launch. It's nothing to do with the platform itself, but it's the launch of the YouTube channel of Cristiano Ronaldo. And the best way to do it is actually with who is the behind the scenes that made it happen, Javier Gomez. Hello, and welcome to the Business of YouTube podcast, Javi.
Hi, Paola. Ciao, Paola. I will make an effort because I usually talk to you in Italian, so I will make an effort to talk in English. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me here. So happy to be able to share some insights and ideas of how this project became reality.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you telling the story, but I think you have a very nice story, like not just for this project. I think it's very interesting as well, like the whole of your experience, and we're going to talk about that as well, because I have to admit, the first time we spoke together as well, and you brought in perfect Italian, and I was like, this guy is actually writing Italian better than I do. What's going on? And then we had these conversations in Italian, Spanish, English, whatever, and that's interesting. So you definitely have a lot of stories that are interesting to listen to, and a very varied career. So thank you for sharing that today with the business. And you're a YouTuber as well. Like you have your own YouTube channel, and we're gonna talk about that too. So, I mean, life is definitely not boring on your side, is it?
No, I love to do as many things as possible. And I think that communication and content needs you to be awakened and to understand what is happening around you in your society. So I think every project in my life is a way to understand better how to communicate. I can do it by myself, I can do it on TV, I can do it through magazines, or I can do it also managing and creating projects for other stars.
Yeah, you definitely don't stop easily. That's for sure. So let's start with the event of the year. So I followed the whole process there very closely because for a couple of years I've been actually looking very closely to the fact that athletes are not on YouTube for some reasons. And I was shocked about that. I was like, I don't see why that's not happening. It's all the athletes, or most of the athletes, are on Instagram, they are on TikTok. But they're not on YouTube because they think, well, YouTube is a different thing. It's video is a different thing whatsoever, which in a way is correct. Like long form is a different impact. But short form is basically Reels and TikTok is not very different, to be fair. So I was actually pitching to some clubs about like, why don't you actually build the YouTube channel for like the young athletes, if not the big athletes. And I was using the case that even Ronaldo didn't have a YouTube channel in one of the pitches. I was like, why is this not happening? And then boom, one day I see Ronaldo on YouTube. I was like, oh, that's the beginning of a whole new era. And well done, because it was just astonishing the way it went. Like I was following like by the hour, like the amount of subscribers going up.
I saw.
Yeah, you noticed that. I was like astonished because what I saw there is that not only like he could decide not to do it 100%, he was not supposed to do it, maybe like, and that definitely is not, I mean, it doesn't need it, but he did it and full on. And the numbers that I saw there, even in the best bets, were like completely off the chart. Like it's impossible to predict numbers like those, even for a name like Cristiano Ronaldo. It was like just astonishing, like 10, 100x, whatever could be forecasted. So I'm really curious to know like how the whole evolved, where it's coming from to start from. So I'm a big fan, clearly. It's not difficult to notice that. But I think the whole story is crazy.
You are one of 75 million. But I think Cristiano Ronaldo agrees with what you have said. I'm not going to talk on behalf of Cristiano. Let me, this joke to tell you that Cristiano likes, he has done that all along his whole career, to be there where the people do not expect him to be. He's disruptive. He's courageous. He likes to do what others are not able to do. So, first of all, I think that's exactly the point. What you have said is why he's not here. If he's the biggest star on the planet and the biggest athlete that ever has existed and the most famous person around the world, it doesn't make sense not to be not being on YouTube. So I think it does, the first point is yours, not mine, and you agree with Cristiano, and Cristiano agrees with you. Then it was
We're in agreement. That's good.
a possibility to be closer to the fans, and this is important for him. Cristiano's fandom is incredible. Is incredible. We are talking about millions and millions of fans everywhere around the planet, wanted to be closer, wanted to know him better. And social media, because for me, YouTube is not a social media. Social media as Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or X, or now called X, or Facebook, do not allow you to know your star as YouTube does, as YouTube allows you to understand Cristiano because of the long form. So that's the second point. The third one is, of course, because Cristiano is a businessman, a great businessman with a lot of interest in different sectors, and he sees also YouTube as a business opportunity. And it's good for YouTube and for Cristiano and for everyone and for brands. And the fourth point would be because YouTube has become the kingdom of storytelling. I don't believe in, you can tell things through Instagram, you can tell things through Facebook, but that's not storytelling. So he has understood that he's a really curious man. He knows to understand every sector where he's in. So he puts a lot of questions. He makes a lot of questions to all his counselors and friends and people surrounding him, not many people. So people he really trusts. And he understood that YouTube is conquering smart TVs and the living room of homes, that YouTube is conquering mobile phones through shorts. So he saw that something was moving in the entertainment, communication, storytelling / whatever, because there are a lot of different perspectives. And he said, hey, why not? We need to be there. So I think that's the whole point of it.
Well, you know what's interesting? When I was listening, especially in the second half of what you were saying, like not only he doesn't have to be on YouTube eventually, like it could just say, okay, whatever, I just don't need to. But then like from a business perspective, it's like understanding that this is moving to the living room is something that a lot of senior execs on the industry that is actually in the living room already, they don't see it coming still, and he's seeing it, which is I think it's amazing because it's still not understood as much. I mean, if you look at the numbers in the US, the usage in the streaming numbers from Nielsen, it's clear like the pace in which YouTube is on the TV, and the market share that they have, and the direction is there, and the growth rate year on
But
year,
Paula,
month on month.
Cristiano is a businessman, and that's the job of a businessman. He explains in one of the content we launched on UR that everyone was making fun when he decided to launch his own brand of aesthetic clinics. And everyone was making fun because it's funny. Oh no, Cristiano is. And he was explaining this to Rio Ferdinand like this. Everyone was making fun of me. Now it's a huge business all around the world with a lot of clinics. So who's laughing now? I'm just rephrasing Cristiano. These are the sentences that anyone can see on on the conversation with Rio Ferdinand. So yeah, I think that's the businessman part of Cristiano, when he's able to see and to understand opportunities that maybe other athletes are not paying attention to.
Well, and not just athletes, to be honest. I
Of
think
course.
that like it's definitely very advanced from the athletes, and now we're going to see a lot of athletes coming on YouTube, which is it's a good thing because they can diversify, they can just build more business. But I think that the business side of it, I think it's totally spot on because even when I was like just trying to understand the why the athletes are not there, and then the other thing was always like they were answering me, yeah, but I mean it's the revenue is just not there, AdSense revenue. I'm like, guys, I mean seriously, we're talking about the AdSense revenue here. I mean, yeah, it's nice. I mean, you can make a like a next, but that's not the point. That's absolutely zero the point. It's like if you think you're going on YouTube and you're just getting the passive revenue from YouTube, it's just you really don't get what you're talking about because it's especially if that's not gonna move the needle at all. But then if you use you actually serve the audience in many different ways. You can actually like create many different businesses. So just read the data where they're leading to, and then understand what the need is, where it is, even globally. Like you can divide parts of the world, you can serve the parts of the world differently. Just gathering the data and understanding what is the need, and just launching many different businesses. I mean, it's business, baby. It's like serious business, like exactly what you're talking about. But that's very rare. So I'm like 2x like astonished because it's spot on, and that's unless you make it a business, then it doesn't make sense. It's just a nice to have, and that doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, it does like overall, but not as much as it could in terms of potential.
No, I think Cristiano has understood since the beginning. For example, Paula, when we were filming with making the collab with Mr. Beast, he was talking to us before shooting without Jimmy, without Mr. Beast. He was saying, he was making some comments about how communication has changed. He said, if Jimmy Donaldson, if Mr. Beast goes to a mall, shopping center, in whichever place around the world, maybe he's more famous than me. And he was making these comments and thinking about the potential of YouTube and YouTubers. I think that he has understood also through his kids in an admirative way. So Cristiano was really humble when he was talking about Jimmy and about all these YouTubers, understanding the communication potential and the link they have with younger generations, that sometimes even for himself, he was humble there because he has that connection. But you know what I mean? He was saying these kids, these YouTubers, these people are able to create a so close link to younger generations. It's incredible. So it was astonishing for me as well to see the most famous person in the world and the biggest athlete
Being so
ever
humble and curious, yeah, yeah.
being admirative and talking to, and you can see this on the collab with Jimmy, because there are two important moments when he's talking to Jimmy, say, hey, look, we have to call my kids later because this is important for them and I want to surprise them. And he was just a simple father, a father that wants his children to be happy with the call of a YouTuber. So that was great, so human and so touching. And then when he was on the set with Jimmy, he was just listening. A lot of people told me, hey, but this is Jimmy talking. Yeah, this is Jimmy talking. And this is great, guys. Cristiano has answered every question for his whole life since he was 17 years old. in every interview. Isn't it great to have Cristiano as a host with a guest, making questions, being astonished with the kind of things that Jimmy is able to do to entertain attention from his audience, and knowing better what YouTube is about, what YouTube is about, how does it work. I found it great. You have listened to Cristiano for the last 23 years old. It's great to understand the questions that Cristiano has and to make him also a host. Can be with a YouTuber, why not with a CEO or with a Hollywood star, Paula. So Cristiano making questions, it's something I want and we want to develop. No, it's not me or we. It's Cristiano wants to develop for the future, for example, of his channel.
Well, there's a point you made which is very interesting, the emotional parts and the authenticity parts, which is really what YouTube is the best place for. Like, people do understand when something is super staged, and they don't want like the format that is like one to many. It's like, that's me, you get the content, just take it or leave it, whatever. And it's really about making that connection. And I think one thing I really admired of the whole project as a whole, and the example you made is really like the demonstration of it as well, is really YouTube style in a way that is like trying many different things, not being humble in giving a try, and not being super squared in the branding kind of like guidelines. Because I know, like, I've been dealing with like celebrities or like big brands, and I know there's brand guidelines that are super strict usually. And one thing that really surprised me of your project is like, definitely you should have some, but you're really eager to try, like YouTube style in a way. It's like, okay, let's give it a try. You read the data, try and see how it works. And with being humble in doing that, something will work, something will not. And that's how it should work. But it's very rare to see it with somebody like of that fame or of that size as well. It's more than rare, it's literally impossible. And I was like, okay, this is really the right approach. So I think that authenticity, being humble and curious, that's very clear in the channel itself. And I see a lot of naysayers that they are like, yeah, but where is the direction? And they know it all already. It's like, okay, no, but the direction is not correct. So like, what direction is like? They started 5 months ago. I mean, seriously, let them play with it. That you can't know what's going to work. That's it. That's a fact. What do you think?
A lot of things to comment about that. First of all, Cristiano is a real human being that loves his fans, that has a lot of interest, and his channel, we needed to transmit to the people that this is a real Cristiano. Cristiano, as you have never seen him before. So it was on purpose. Look, let me do an exercise with you, with athletes that I respect at 100%. For example, Tom Brady. And people will understand later why I admire Tom Brady so much. He has a channel, 245K subscribers. We are talking about maybe the most famous person in the United States, one of the 3 most famous athletes in the United States. Jude Bellingham, one of the Real Madrid stars, launched his channel, 262,000 subscribers. LeBron James, more or less the same. The Show, a great show, set around 100, I think, subscribers. So it's not because you are famous or because you have a lot of Instagram followers or because you are a great athlete that you have a great success on YouTube. Because even YouTube specialists were trying to warn us, saying, look, this is really difficult. Do not expect a huge impact from since the beginning. Say, maybe not. Maybe yes, we'll see. But we didn't want to make like a perfect documentary. I think one thing that Cristiano has understood, and humbly the teams that we are working around him, teams from CR7 Media, I want to talk about CR7 Media, and teams from Dentsu, where I work, Dentsu Creative, we have understood that the key thing today with communications is closeness, relatability. Feel the people belong to a community. You cannot do this with a perfect documentary, Paola. So also I laughed when I read some comments, but I love those analyses, those comments. I this is Cristiano. We need to make noise. There will always be noise and comments and 1 million of eyes in front of Cristiano. And we accept it. That's the deal. We love it. But even us, we didn't know sometimes, well, the direction. We'll talk about it later. But for us, it was more important to make the people feel that they were watching something, some aspects of Cristiano that maybe they have not been able to watch before, because he was so relaxed with his wife. Oh, this is about him and Georgina. And then it was with Rio Ferdinand, who is a really close friend of him. So it was not a classic interview with a big journalist. And I respect journalists. I am a journalist, so I respect them. But this was more a talk with a friend. And then Mr. B, so this is about collapse. No, this is about his wife. This is about collapse. This is about an interview. And this will be about a lot of other things that we will discover along the way. So what's the point? Why do we have to define something? This is the place where all Cristiano's fans are more than welcome, where brands are welcome, where football fans are welcome, and where people who love entertain are welcome. And we will discover it together. And we create, for example, a counter, with a countdown, to live together and to celebrate together that Cristiano had 1 billion followers community, first human being ever in history. And YouTube was a part of it, had an important role for the last mile, for the last mile achievement. Of course, the core is Instagram and it, but it was important. It was YouTube and the YouTubers and the subscriber who made this possible. Why not to celebrate and to create a countdown counter? Of course, we were not expecting to do a countdown counter, but we did it because we found it was funny and because Cristiano loved the idea. And when he received in Monaco the award of being the best scorer in Champions League history, and he decided to bring a telephone with him, of course, he decided that 24 hours before, when he went to Laponia with the kids and Georgina for Christmas, he said, "Oh, this could be a great idea, maybe to shoot that, to send a message, to be together in Christmas. People have time. Maybe we can share a moment together." It was decided 48 hours before going there. So this is not always about strategy, Paola. As a brand could think about a strategy. This is Cristiano. And the more this looks like Cristiano, the better.
Well, you're writing the playbook for the athletes in the future. So that's going to be staying in the history of YouTube and an example for many, even not of the side, of course, of Cristiano, because there is one Cristiano. But I wrote that in many places, that I think this is going to be the playbook. Finally, somebody gets it for real. And I'm really happy to see that, because it's not as obvious and it's not that easy either. It's easier said than done. One thing is doing it this way, or thinking you should do it that way, but then doing it is another thing, because of course of the organization and the whole business that goes with it. And it's not that easy, but I'm very pleased to see it in practice, because again, I think it's going to be an historic case that's it's going to be studied from many in the years to come. So I'm happy to witness that, and congratulations on you to do that. Well done. I can't say anything else.
This is about Cristiano's courage. This is about CR7 media vision, about also what's next. Cristiano is 39 years old. He will be 40 in 1 week, I think, or 10 days. So there are many things coming. And of course, Cristiano, he has spoken freely about this and in press conferences that he might have maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 at most years of his career. But this doesn't mean that Cristiano is ending. And I think this channel is sending a message, because maybe some advisors could think, oh, he's a football player at the end of his career. YouTube is full of young people, young audience. He cannot have a huge success. So to do what he has done, to achieve what Cristiano has achieved with this historical case, as you say, and thank you for the comment, with 80% of an audience under 30 years old, which is a huge figure in so many different countries. And if you go through markets, you can see that figure repeating almost perfectly: 79, 82, 78, under 30 years old. So most of the audience of You Are Cristiano's challenge have barely seen Cristiano playing football at the peak of his career.
Because that's exactly the generation that is missing in most of the sports, like the traditional sports, like the clubs and the leagues. They're like, okay, these guys, the new generation is not watching the 90 minutes. Like, how can we catch them? And he's actually catching them.
So this is a
because
message.
it's not about
This is a message, and I think this is a statement more than a message. And I can tell you that there are a lot of things coming. We have understood, if we talk about, for example, the learnings, we have understood, that was clear for us since the beginning, that Cristiano is not a YouTuber. He's not going to try to be a YouTuber. He told Jimmy, you are a YouTuber, I'm a football player. And I can be a lot of things, but I will not be a YouTuber. So when, for example, commitment, we need to publish every week or to post every week. Maybe a YouTuber needs to post every week. Cristiano doesn't have to post every week. He needs to score goals every week and win games every week. And maybe win a lot of things with Al Nassr and Portugal, but not to post every week. So we have had several rhythms of posting, of publishing. We are trying to understand, and now it's clear for us that we do not need to run. We are not trying to, we are already the 25th channel in the world in 5 months, Paula. And Cristiano has a great audience, and we can concentrate off, and I think that this is more important than posting, than publishing, and having a rhythm, to be able to surprise, to shock audiences, to create a surprise, to cultivate the unexpected. And we are preparing different projects that maybe you will see in 5 months, in 1 year. Some of them are incredible, Paula, that we want really to change the way the people understand entertainment, that we are trying to mix YouTube audiences with real, with life, with reality, bringing, how to say, digital communities to life experiences. So we are just trying to experiment, to thinking. entertainment, I think you need to be new entertainment forces you to be creative and to be able to. I don't believe in say, all right, I have a huge success in YouTube. I'm just going to be a YouTuber and to work on YouTube, not like a bubble. No, and maybe it could work for someone else, not for Cristiano. Cristiano has fans on the stands, in the stadiums. Cristiano has fans on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on real life. And of course, we are the newborn. Now you are Cristiano. So we need to be able to take profit of that and think in a disruptive and creative way, because maybe we can go where others have not gone. Or so I think this is what Cristiano wants, and we are preparing a lot of things to shock people and to be there where they are not expecting Cristiano to be.
Well, it seems like it's going to be interesting to watch in the next coming months. It has been interesting in the last few months already, so I wonder where that's going to go. But now, like something, now we're going to move more into the business models and what you see, like for this channel, but in general, like of how leveraging YouTube. But in the meanwhile, before we move that to that topic, like, is there any funny lessons or like any learning that you got from this experience that you weren't expecting? Like most of the times, like there are some stuff that you would not expect, and they're like just surprising, and sometimes they're actually very useful, or like they're just surprising in terms of data or like audience or like anything that or any content that was not supposed to work.
In terms of audience, we were not expecting a so young audience with a so big sample, because you say, all right, I have 500,000, and it's big, 500,000 or 1 million, but we talk about 74, 75 million. Now, data means something. And to have a 80% of young audience, it's impressive for us. And for example, to see that our second largest audience, so the second country, the second most important country for us is the United States. We were not expecting that. Of course,
the United States.
Yeah, United States. It's not only important from a commercial point of view, because you know that this is how can I say, maybe the most important audience for YouTube and for brands, because this is not a soccer country. I say soccer on purpose. Of course, a football country, but if you are watching this in the United States, a soccer country. And of course, Cristiano is important there, maybe less than in other big countries. And United States, I can tell you, and not a lot of people know this, that the United States is our second biggest market. So after
That's
India,
remarkable and unexpected, but you weren't expecting either.
You are asking me for maybe to give you a big sweet, now in terms of audience, and to your audience, to give your audience something they do not know. And I think this is a good example. And it was surprising, and we are so proud to have United States as our second largest market. And as I have told you, when you have 75 million subscribers, this means something. To be the second market of the 25th largest audience in YouTube means something.
Well, it does, really. It's a nice surprise to have, to be fair. Like, people are really, like...
Absolutely.
Trying to get into the market, especially, I mean, it's definitely famous globally, but soccer is not as big in the US. I mean, it's growing massively, and there is a lot of growth, but still, it's not Europe, it's not other side, South. It's not South
That's
America.
why Jimmy. That's why Jimmy. That's why Mr. Beast also wanted, I think, to make a collab to do a collab with Cristiano, and we have received calls from the largest and the biggest creators. Most of them are from United States, and that was also a sign that United States was paying attention to You Are Cristiano's launch.
Brilliant. Now, moving to the business models, like we briefly touched on this before, but what's your view on how YouTube could be leveraged for business, like in general? Like, could be like for Cristiano, but could be as well in general, because of like it might be wider than that. Like, because I was thinking about the channel itself, and I was like, my mind was blowing, like literally, like it could be like a media company could launch his own leaks, he could launch like whatever and become a distribution channel. Like, could be literally everything and anything. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that's the power of that eventually. And then of course, like it needs to pick whatever direction, but where do you see the business, how do you see the business models, business opportunities there on YouTube?
Like in all online, but also media businesses, first point is to capture an audience, and then you can exploit, and then you can use that attention and that audience in so many different ways. And I can tell you that all the possibilities are on the table, and CR7 Media, with the partnership of Dentsu Creative, but CR7 Media mostly, are aware of all these possibilities. We know we have one of the biggest windows of the planet, which means a lot. Not only for Cristiano's content, also for content in general that Cristiano would like to show, and he's not forced to be necessarily there to be the core of the content. And it can take many shapes or ways, but we are crawling. We are 5 months old baby. So we have time. We have many opportunity. We are trying already to develop some of them. I cannot go into the detail, but we can work with brands, with integrated content in many different ways. We have understood, and this is more general. Now I'm Javier talking about YouTube, not about You Are Cristiano. You can localize your offer through 80 cents, no? Through media, because you can decide to put this advertisement on Vietnam, but not on France, for example. The point, and I think this could be, I don't know how, but it could be the last final step. This is a message to YouTube, to create a tool. Because when you are talking about integrated content, you need it to be global. You cannot choose the countries where you are making content, all right? Because you launch just one video on the channel. You cannot launch 7 different videos for 7 different countries. So I think this could be the last step, and I'm not talking, I highlighted again, about You Are Cristiano, because I am realizing that this could be really interesting to make it more chirurgical, to make it more perfect as a system, because you have a lot of brands that would like, and I have worked in several YouTube projects, not only Cristiano. And sometimes they want, you have even great brands, but of course, not all the brands can afford to go global, because they can be strong in Europe or in Asia or just in China, which is more than 1 billion in American terms, if not 1,000 million people country, or India, but they do not want to go global. So that's something we need, Paola, you and me, to persuade YouTube to change, because this will help us to make this a more perfect business. But we know that there are a lot of possibilities.
One feature at a time, but yes, I think we need to push. Hello, YouTube. If you're listening, we're going to make you listen in one way or another.
Listen. For example, I was working with guys from a super performant company. They are Italian and they are in Dubai, and now we are able, for example, to create an artificial intelligence dubbing, which is
Mhm.
great, with Cristiano's voice, which is great, in different languages, but we are able to make Cristiano move his lips according to every language. Take this example because I think
Yeah.
it's great. So he could speak Hindi and Chinese and Japanese, not only with his voice, but also with his mouth moving accordingly to the sound. But you cannot do that on YouTube. And it
But there's the AI translation that goes with it that
no, but I'm
that is
talking
but
about
it's not
moving.
as
I'm talking about
not
moving the
as
lips,
fun, not the
and I
finesse. That's
cannot
correct.
upload. I can't upload one video per language, but it's a pity.
No, that's not. No, that's not. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's the feature that is available that I think Jimmy actually launched it as a first user globally of like basically translating with the, with different languages with the voice. I don't think the finesse is there yet, as you're saying, in terms of even moving
I can tell
and
you, it is
adapting.
not there. It is
No,
not
no,
there.
yeah, but yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, well, I want to move to talk about you and what you are doing because behind great projects, there are great professionals too. And there's definitely a lot of people behind it. But I think that's what you are doing and the way you're directing the whole of this is extremely um, peculiar, I would say, because it's in a good way. It's a good thing. I don't know if it's a compliment. Um, and I would like to know more as well, like what you're doing and then so creative, and then a bit more about your career that I said at the beginning as well. It's definitely not boring at all. And again,
Thank you
that's a
very much.
compliment. It's not it's not
Thank you
something
very
bad.
much. Thank you very much for your interest. First of all, first and foremost, let me tell you, I'm not important. Cristiano is important. And CR7 Media is important. And Tomasz Froes, who is the CEO of Dentsu Creative Iberia, and he's the main person behind this project because he has worked for many years with Cristiano. He was on the Portuguese Football Federation on 2016 when they win the European Championship with Cristiano. He was a marketing director, and since then he works with Cristiano. So those are the brains behind this project. I'm just at the trenches trying to bring this to life and giving the 100% of my knowledge to make this real. So said that,
Okay, definitely kudos to them, and kudos to your
absolutely.
humbleness. Okay.
About
But
myself, no,
you have done something as well.
I was born in journalism. I've been a TV presenter for a big part of my career in France for 70 years, in Spain for more than 10 years, talking about sports, politics, news, entertainment, whatever. And I was born in journalism in newspapers. I was the editor in chief of the Sunday weekly magazine of the second newspaper in Spain, El Mundo, or even the first, so like the Telegraph or Times or Guardian weekly magazine. Now I'm the editor in chief of a magazine. As a content director of Dentsu Creative, we have launched this beautiful magazine for a restaurant chain. So that's just to explain you that I have roots in journalism and in communication through different ways. Because, for example, I was also trying to expand the digital strategy of El Mundo newspaper when I was there. So I have always tried to modernize, to to make like a little revolution in every industry where I've been, in newspapers, in television, on television, and then I switched my career into marketing industry, publishing and marketing 5 years ago. And now in Dentsu Creative, what I'm trying to do with the help of Thomas Froes and Cédric Bertin and all the people from Dentsu Creative, they are amazing, is to, people say, oh, branded content. I hate that concept. I really hate branded content. I never use branded content.
You're
I
very
like,
politically correct on this, which
no,
is
and
nice.
I'm not
I'm just,
politically correct at
yeah,
all.
which is good.
Never, never. Um, I love another concept, which is cultural impact. And I think we need, as an agency, to create cultural impact with all the projects we develop. You are Cristiano has created a huge cultural impact because it's different, because it's natural, because it's relatable, because it's real. It's not, I don't know, it's not rapid and something that you cannot believe and you cannot feel. So I think that brands in general has a huge potential as publishers, becoming publishers. So besides You Are Cristiano, which is not the common and classic project we could have inside a creative agency, this is something modern, even if it's a magazine, which has not a digital version. No, we do not have an online version because I didn't want to have an online version, because I think this is great to do things differently. So I believe in brands as publishers, and we are trying to develop this. And we are doing projects, for example, about bullying in schools with brands. So it's a beautiful project. Now we are creating, I think in 1-2 months, I will send you something about this project. It's not being born, about football. So, and I'm working and trying to develop projects with the NFL, American football. We'll talk about it later. So I think that's the point. I think brands have become a key. How can I say this to phrase it as I like? I don't think, and I don't believe that brands can become media, but I think that brands are stronger and more important than what they think, and they can become publisher are really an axis of our society. Because I know 20th century were great for ideas and political big ideas, and now people recognize themselves in brands. So brands are powerful, and I'm trying to persuade brands that they are so powerful that they can bring projects like the one I'm explaining you.
You're pushing boundaries, whatever you're doing, which is
I'm
interesting.
trying.
And how about your life as a YouTuber? Like, no, of course not. Are you not a YouTuber? Yeah, but that's interesting that you're doing. You have your own channel
Yep,
talking about the NFL, which is your passion, as far as I know.
exactly.
And then, of course, you end up like, I mean, you're in Spain, where football is the big thing. Of course, NFL is growing, NBA is growing, etc., etc. But I mean, culturally, like in Europe, we are definitely football fans. But you've been like doing that for a while, and actually you have good numbers. You although like the in theory the pool of audience wasn't there in theory. I mean, you surfaced an audience that was there waiting for the content, and so you're
And you
actually
need
the
to,
official podcast of NFL in Spain. So not just
yes.
like something you do like for fun, like well, probably you do it for fun, but ultimately it became like a brand on its own. Like, what's your
Everything I do is for
takeaway there?
fun. Everything I do is for fun. Don't you think that creating You Are Cristiano is a lot of fun, tons of fun? So everything, I'm trying
But there
to
has to be
do.
fun, otherwise, I mean, seriously, there's one life, and that's too short.
But life is to be lived. No, I mean, this project has taught me a lot. Um, NFL is my passion, but politics, my passion. Italian politics. I love Italian politics. I do not have a podcast about Italian politics because that the audience is even more reduced. But to have passions and cultivate passions is key in life. And I think podcasts are one of my most favorite styles of communicating. I think they are growing and growing. They are key also on YouTube development because that podcast, 100 yardas, 100 yards, you can find it on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and everything, but also on YouTube and mostly on YouTube. So I think we need to understand that all those platforms around music and podcasts and just sound are really linked to YouTube because people want to see you. And we created this 10 years ago. Who has a podcast that has lasted more than 10 years? Not many. So we started when there were no one, almost no one. And now we have the second largest community in Europe about the NFL after one podcast in Germany. So we are so proud. And, and it has taught me a lot of things. We have created clothing collections, exclusive limited collections of clothing. We have published a book. This is going to be my 10th Super Bowl broadcasted, the 5th live on the stadium. So, I mean, a podcast has rights, radio rights for Spain with the Super Bowl. So this is for fun, but this is also a business. We brought NFL apparel to FC Barcelona shops in Barcelona. So we are helping also the NFL. The NFL has understood that they need to establish themselves in the countries where they are not so famous as the United States through communities. Through communities, Paula, means through podcasts, means through YouTube. So this is also important to talk about YouTube. So we are becoming bigger and bigger. Last Friday, I was in Santiago Bernabeu introducing an event with the Mayor of Madrid, Florentino Perez, Real Madrid president, and the NFL, presenting the Miami Dolphins as the local team of the first official game that's going to be played in Bernabeu. It was 10 days ago. And I was there. And I was there because I have a podcast. Also because I know people and maybe I can communicate, but they are
Yeah, but
trying
then
to
really it matters
cultivate
because
communities because you talk to audiences. So you are asking about my life, and I'm so grateful, and my experience. And in the answer, I put YouTube in it, and communities, and podcasts, because my life is around that. So we have had a huge success, not only in Spain, and this is also important. The community is always around the language, not around the country. And we have listeners from Argentina, from Colombia, from Mexico. So I have understood so many things through this little experience. But the most important one to finish is that this started as 4 friends talking about American football. And 10 years after that, this is 4 friends talking about American football. And podcasts like You Are Cristiano and my speech from the beginning are about relatability, being close to people, to create a group of friends where they feel this is emotional, this is not rational, this is not about info, this is not about, not only, I would say, about sports. This is about friendship and passion and emotions. And if you are able to create that, this is unbeatable. Unbeatable.
Yeah, that's the core of everything, 100%. Now, last question before I let you go, and I promise you it was going to be 30 minutes, no more, and we're definitely 55
It's
already.
okay.
Sorry about that, but it was too interesting to cut it off. So this is very, very personal. Like, in anything that you've been doing so far, what are you most proud of? It could be very wide, like could be anything really, but you shared a lot about your experience and personal experience as well, which is very linked to the way you are doing things. But so anything you can share with us?
But I think, what a question. First of all, is to have the confidence of Cristiano and all the stakeholders of this project, and Dentsu Creative and CR7 Media to bring this project to life. So this is, maybe someone from YouTube told me before we were born, man, this is once in a lifetime project. This is a career defining project. I don't know if this is once in a lifetime or a career defining. I do not care at all. I couldn't care less about that, really, because I'm like that. But I'm so proud, so deeply proud and grateful. And then, because I think I'm 46 years old. Maybe next year, I don't know. But till now, I've been able, and I think everyone can tell you that, to keep passion, every bit of passion in everything I do. And this is, for me, is key. Is I'm not involved, emotionally involved, if I don't believe, if I don't have passion, I don't know how to work. And maybe the third thing is to not have been afraid of experimenting, of changing my life from television to marketing and to, I don't know, to not being afraid. I think I'm proud of not being afraid, because if you're afraid, you're not able to change. And of course, you always have people telling you, yeah, this is a risk, this is a risk. Yeah, but that's why you have to do it. If there is no risk, you have nothing to gain. No risk, no biscuit. No, like one American football coach said, Bruce Arians, no risk, no biscuit. I don't know, maybe those three things, Paula. And really, thank you very much for paying attention to us, to being able to understand how important this project is, and Cristiano's involvement in YouTube is for the future of YouTube and the future of communication. You've been so generous in all your comments, and I wanted to thank you publicly for this.
No, well, thank you for like bringing this to life and for the time that you're spending with me and sharing with the wider public. I think, as I said during the chat, I think this is extremely defining for YouTube as a platform. So it's like a world-class example of something that's going to change the platform. And the way that it's done is very unique. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next. But in general, I think that you have done an amazing work. And also, you have been very open to share. And I do appreciate that very much. Usually people are not as open, but I think that the builders usually are, because the more you share, the more people can build. And building is a community exercise. And I think platforms like YouTube are communities at the end of the day. And builders always find themselves in the same place in a way or another. So thank you for being so open and sharing the story. And good luck with whatever is next, which is going to be definitely not boring and very intense. I have no doubt, whatever that is, like continuing this project, of course, but then any other challenge that you're going to have. And I'm curious to discover more about the NFL as well. Like I'm going to follow in Spanish, so it's okay. I can do that.
They are coming to Europe. You will see now. Thank you very much. And I will continue reading you through LinkedIn, because I learn a lot reading you. And I think we need to be always open to learn new things. And that's why I also open talking about this project. We have nothing to hide because Cristiano has decided to open himself on YouTube through You Are Cristiano. So that's the point. That's the point of emotion, of communication, of passion, and that's why he has a so big fandom. So thank you very much, Paula.
Thank you, Javi, and good luck. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.